After my father left my mom for Anna, a woman with severe depression, I avoided visiting them. At a family gathering, my aunt bluntly called out Anna's excuse for her affair, and I laughed. My dad scolded me, but I'm questioning whether I was wrong to find it funny. Long story short, 2 years ago, my father left my mother for his mistress, whom I'll call Anna, a common name. My mother had no idea about the infidelity. Anna knew my father was married. She even went with him to our house to take his belongings. One day, he simply told my mother that he was no longer in love with her and wanted to be happy with Anna. I was there when it all happened. Anna suffers from depression and has many scars on her legs and arms. I avoid going to my father's house because it's uncomfortable being around them for obvious reasons. Anna is overly nice, and it feels awkward. A few days ago, it was my grandfather's birthday, so the whole family gathered, including Anna. One of my aunts also suffers from depression and more severe conditions like schizophrenia. She has tried to hurt herself many times. At one point in the night, only my father, my aunt, Anna, another aunt, and I were in the living room. For some reason, my aunt and Anna started discussing serious matters. At one point, Anna began saying that depression made her do many things while trying to feel fulfilled. She claimed that she only overcame her depression when she met my father and that he saved her. According to her, meeting him was the key to overcoming her depression, and now she's finally happy, thanks to him. I'm familiar with this story because Anna has often tried to bond with me by telling me how much she suffered and how my father saved her. She always justifies herself by saying she was depressed and in a difficult place in her life before my father rescued her. It's always made me feel uncomfortable, and I don't feel any empathy for her, no matter how sweet she tries to be. Talking about how many times she tried to kill herself, especially in front of my 8-year-old sister, is far from normal. Anna consistently tries to paint her relationship with my father as a fairy tale that started differently, but she claims she has no regrets because her world is perfect now. At that moment, my aunt said something like, "I tried to save myself by going to a psychologist, not by jumping on the of a married man." And then she added that depression made her want to jump off a bridge, not ruin a family. I couldn't help but laugh. It was funny. My aunt may have her own struggles, but it was wild to see her make such a sly comment. However, on the way home, Anna was crying, and my father scolded me for laughing at what my aunt said. He told me that no one knows the full extent of Anna's suffering. I know about it, she's always talking about it. I didn't apologize, but now I'm wondering, was I really wrong to laugh? From my perspective, my aunt was right. Something happened over the weekend. My aunt came over to our house, where I live with my mother, and told her what happened. My mother despises my father for obvious reasons, but she's always been kind to him and has tried to keep us out of their issues. Honestly, my mother is a saint. My sister, who's just 8 years old, really hates Anna. Once, Anna tried to get along with her by sharing stories about her suicide attempts and how my dad supposedly saved her. After that, my sister came home asking my mother if she had ever thought about committing suicide. That's definitely not a question an 8-year-old should be asking. She even asked me more questions about suicide afterward. I don't know exactly what else Anna told her, but it clearly affected her as a little girl. These aren't topics anyone should be discussing with a child of that age. My mother was furious and, from that day onward, forbade my father from having my sister around Anna, considering her to be a dangerous and unstable person, especially around children. Since then, things have been really tensing between my parents. My little sister doesn't even want to visit our father anymore, so she's fine with this arrangement. This weekend, my aunt told my mother that Anna brought up the same subject again, this time in front of me. Apparently, my father and Anna were strictly forbidden to discuss these kinds of topics around me as well. I'm not a little kid, but that was an agreement my mother made with my father when they set boundaries. My aunt told my mother what happened, and I finally confessed that my father and Anna talk a lot about her suicide attempts in front of me. I should have spoken up sooner, but at the time, I didn't want to cause any problems, so I just ignored it. I also told my mom that this is the main reason I stopped going to my father's house. She got really upset with him. The next day, my mom went to talk to my father. I'm not sure what they discussed, but when she returned, she said that Anna is now completely forbidden from being near us. She told me that while she can't stop me from seeing my father, it's my decision whether or not I choose to be around him. However, Anna is absolutely banned from being in the same place as me or my sister. My paternal grandparents and aunts all agreed with my mother's decision since they were aware of what happened with my sister. I haven't spoken to my father since, but my cousin told me that my father argued with my grandfather. My dad often defends Anna, insisting she's a good person and that we just don't understand the pain she's been through. So, I guess he's upset with all of us now for what he calls our lack of empathy. At least I won't have to see them for a while. It's not a thrilling update, but that's what's been going on. I wasn't planning to give another update, but we've had a lot of issues with Anna, so many that even my father might be realizing she's unstable. I stopped visiting my father, and my grandparents no longer allow Anna to visit their house because I'm there often, and my mother doesn't want Anna near my sister or me. Anna has developed a strange habit of sending me texts. At first, she apologized and said that my father misses me and my sister. I told her that my mother doesn't allow us to talk to her, but she responded that she's my father's partner, so we need to get used to her being around. She then started bad-mouthing my mom, saying I'm too young to understand, but my mother is manipulating us and preventing us from being a family. I might be young, but I'm not dumb. I stopped replying and showed the messages to my mother, who then confronted my father. My father knew nothing about this, and apparently, he argued with Anna after finding out. Now, my mother is considering legally removing his last name from ours to protect us and end this situation. I don't fully understand how it works, but in my country, you can go to court and remove your father's surname, which would strip him of his parental rights. I doubt my sister or I would be upset by this, but I think my mom is just using it as a threat to scare him. I overheard this from my aunt, so I'm not sure how real it is. Recently, my father has been staying at my grandparents' house. One night, Anna showed up at their door just to argue with him. She yelled that he couldn't leave her like that, but my grandfather kicked her out. My aunt also mentioned that Anna sends my father messages like, "If you leave me, I'll kill myself," which has made my father afraid to leave her. Just 2 days ago, my father had to leave work suddenly because she sent him goodbye messages. Nothing serious happened, she just cut her arms again, as she always does. My aunt said Anna did this even when the affair first started, sending messages about her suicidal thoughts to keep my father running to her. Anna once told me about this too, but in a more romantic way, which always scared me. I haven't spoken to my father, and I avoid him when he's at my grandparents' house. According to my aunt, he doesn't know what to do because he misses us but is terrified of leaving Anna and triggering her suicide threats. I feel a bit bad for saying this, but I'm relieved that all this is happening far away from me. I'm so grateful my mom made sure we distanced ourselves from Anna before things got worse. Honestly, this feels like karma for my father, so I'm staying out of it. I always planned to pass my wedding dress on to my future daughter-in-law, and now that my son's fiancée loves it, I've given it to her. However, my stepdaughter is upset, but I don't think I'm in the wrong. I'm a 42-year-old woman, and I got married 24 years ago. I purposely chose a simple, elegant dress instead of something trendy because I wanted it to be timeless, something that could be passed down for generations. I had my son, Mark, who is now 22, a year after my wedding, but his father passed away when he was young. I raised Mark as a single mom for several years. I decided that when Mark married, I would pass my dress and accessories on to his wife. When I was 33, I met Rob, who is now 52, and we quickly got married. He became a great father figure to Mark, and I was thrilled to gain a stepdaughter, Molly, who is now 24. However, my relationship with Molly had a rocky start. I was patient and gentle with her, offering to take her shopping or get our nails done together. I even asked Rob about her favorite foods and made sure to cook them. But she made it clear that she didn't see me as her real mom. Keeping my door open for her, Molly never changed her attitude. She would call me a trophy wife to my face and make comments like, "Wow, you're so generous with Dad's money," whenever I organized charity events. Although she never said it outright, I could tell she looked down on me for not having a college degree. A couple of years ago, I made one last attempt to bond with her. I brought her into my closet and showed her the wedding dress and accessories, telling her I would love for her to wear them at her wedding. I did mention that some alterations might be needed, but Molly dismissed the idea. I'm 5'9" and a size 4, while Molly is 5'4" and a size 8, but I thought we could make alterations to make the dress work. However, when I first offered it to her, Molly scoffed, called my values archaic, and said the dress was trashy before walking out. That really hurt because she knew what the dress meant to me and didn't care. After that, I stopped making as much of an effort to build a relationship with her. 2 months ago, my son Mark proposed to his college sweetheart, Lucy, with whom I have a great relationship. When Lucy mentioned dress shopping, I showed her my wedding dress. Lucy tried it on, and it fit her perfectly. She fell in love with it, and I told her that the dress, shoes, and accessories were hers if she wanted them. She was so happy that she literally cried. A few days ago, out of the blue, Molly reached out to ask if the dress was still available. I told her I had given it to Lucy. She then asked if I could get it back since I originally offered it to her first. I explained that she had already rejected it. It fits Lucy perfectly, and Lucy is the only one getting married in the foreseeable future. Now, Molly is accusing me of favoring Lucy because she's conforming to traditional standards of femininity, getting married and being thin. That's absolute nonsense, but it did make me think, if the roles were reversed and Lucy had initially turned the dress down, would I still have given it to her? I started to wonder if Molly was right about me favoring Lucy. However, the overwhelming support from others reassured me that I made the right decision. It was a huge relief to hear that most people think I'm not in the wrong. I've already given the dress to Lucy, and it's safe in her apartment. Molly has been bothering Lucy about the dress, but Lucy made it clear that there's no way she's giving it away. Some of you have asked about Mark and Rob's responses. Mark is currently out of town for work, so I haven't discussed this with him, but I'm sure he'll be supportive of Lucy. I hadn't mentioned it to Rob because, despite my rocky relationship with Molly, I didn't want to create more tension between her and her father. However, Rob brought it up himself last night. He told me Molly had contacted him and asked, "You're not going to give it to her, are you?" When I said no, he made me promise I wouldn't give the dress to her. It was comforting to know Rob is on my side. I want to clarify that I don't expect Molly to conform to certain standards. When I mentioned traditional standards of femininity, getting married, and being thin, I was paraphrasing her words. I was raised in a traditional household, but I fully understand that many women, especially younger ones, don't share those values. In fact, Lucy doesn't either. She has an engineering degree and talks openly about prioritizing her career over starting a family, at least for the foreseeable future. I couldn't be happier for her. Looking back, I realize I could have done a better job of communicating to Molly that I don't care what choices she makes as long as she's a good person and leaves the world better than she found it. I also want to acknowledge that Molly's had a tough life, partly due to the divorce between Rob and her biological mother. I don't want to go into detail, but I know her relationship with her mom is strained. I think Molly might be projecting some of those issues onto me. Your comments have helped me realize that while it's understandable Molly has her struggles, She is still in the wrong in this situation. I've also come to understand that building a relationship isn't solely on me. Molly has to put in the effort too, and so far, she hasn't. I'm never going to shut her out, but at this point, if she wants to connect with me, she has to be the one to make the effort. I genuinely hope the best for her, but one thing is for sure, she's not getting that dress. Thank you very much for watching to the story so far. I suggest you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss tomorrow's stories.